be right. It's gonna be alright now, baby. Friday night's gonna be alright. It's gonna be right. It's gonna be alright now, baby. Thank God it's Friday.
Thank God it's
Friday, 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 Friday.
It's Friday, my dudes.
Sorry, I thought there was a little ministry in there just for you, Ken.
Yes, nice.
Don't start.
I was waiting for the part where he goes, "Police officer, kill him, kill,
Right.
kill."
I'm lucky to avoid a strike at this point.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's all right.
Eyes open, empty as halos.
Well, welcome back. John, you have anything?
Yeah, I got plenty. I got plenty. What do you want to talk about?
Have you seen out in the news about stuff in space this week, John?
No, nothing. Don't know what you're talking about.
Moving on then.
You got a link, haven't you? some bollocks about some whale hovering over.
Man.
Yeah.
Hey, Josh and I discovered something yesterday after everybody got off. You see these lights? Look at the grid pattern around these lights. That is not a LED light. That is simply an old school filament Christmas light. But because of the high definition camera, it has created this little grid pattern for some reason around it. Now think of all the videos you've seen lately of the sun simulator.
Everybody claiming that the fake sun is out there because they've picked up this strange grid pattern around the sun.
That is interesting.
Maybe there's some weird stuff out there, but I just thought it was interesting that these lights had pretty much the same strange grid pattern from the sun simulator videos out there.
That is interesting. That's a good observation too. But I did have something, but it wasn't, unfortunately, the aquatic space monster you were after. I actually wanted to ask Karen a question about her interview with the BBC.
Mm-hmm.
And what I saw in the comments was, I recorded all of this. I'm going to expose these BBC bastards for being arseholes. Could you expand on that a little bit?
Well, yeah. Well, I went. What happened is they asked me to do an interview, and I said okay. And they're like, okay, well, we're gonna find a radio station near you for you to go to, so we could do the interview. And I'm like, I have to go to a radio station? I'm like, I have a broadcast quality mic at my house. And they're like, well, it's not really so much that, it's the connection, right? Because they're in the UK, so they have some. I guess they have some better connection from radio station to radio station than they would from like them to my house.
Mm-hmm.
So they asked me to go to this radio station. So I did. And I was there for over an hour answering questions. And in fact, I just went through that video the other night because I'm getting ready to edit it and post it, the interview in its entirety.
Oh, I can't wait for that.
And so I went through because all I could do was set up my phone next to where I was sitting and record myself. So in the video, you don't hear the woman asking the questions. You only hear me. So I went through the whole video and I was like numbering, the questions, trying to remember the question she asked me based on my answer. So I was writing it out so that I could put it in the video. And I got to 58 questions they asked me.
One a minute.
Yeah. Like, so for well over an hour, I talked to them and they only played like 6 minutes of the interview and some of my answers they chopped up. And
But
I'm sure if you listen to the whole thing, I mean, they're basically putting like some psychiatrist on there talking about the Dunning-Kruger effect. And they're like basically trying to make me look crazy. But they have to use other people to do it because they couldn't do it with my own answers.
Yeah. Yeah. And shit, what was I going to say? No, it's gone. What made you even talk to the BBC? Are you aware of what the BBC is? And
Yes.
I mean, obviously you're not in the UK to have it shoved down your throat and having to pay to have it shoved down your throat. But why did you talk to them?
Yeah, well, the producer contacted me, asked me to do an interview, and so I went to the person I know who does the most interviews of anybody else I know, which is Mark Sargent. And I said BBC contacted me to do an interview, and it's going to be pre-recorded. And I said, I'm not really sure about doing a pre-recorded interview, right? Because then they can chop it up and do whatever they want. And he was like, actually, it's a lot easier. It's more relaxed. It's less nerve-wracking. He's like, you should just go ahead and do it. He's like, I think you'll be good. And I was like, okay. So I took his advice and I did the interview, knowing full well that they would probably do something to try to butcher it or, to try to make Flat Earth look bad. So that's why when I went there, I brought my phone and my little phone tripod, and I set it up next to me and I recorded every single word.
And I'm so glad you did. I'm so glad you did. Maybe that was an unfair question, really. Maybe I should have asked, would you do it again?
I would, because when I listen back, even when they add their psychiatrist stuff before and after or whatever, their little spin on it, I stand by all the answers to the questions that I gave. I don't, I didn't sound crazy.
Yeah. No, you didn't at all, actually.
Karen,
and even the woman said, even says in her broadcast that she's like, Karen, she sounds like a very reasonable person. Like she can't even say, I talked to this person and she was batshit crazy. Like she can't even say that because
Sounds like Karen could even tie her own shoelaces.
Right?
But I noticed the way that they had to spend, a good 6 minutes or so after your 6 minutes debunking the bits that you said. We have pictures from space, etc. And although NASA say they are bollocks, I mean, it was just horrendous, wasn't it? Sorry, Adam.
Well, no, you summarised the point better than I would have done, and it really is with all of their editing and tweaking and trying to pervert the truth of what anybody who's interviewed says. Do you think they're fooling anyone anymore? Because to me, I think even like my parents and my in-laws they're savvy to the news, and they're aware of the fact that most of the mainstream is mugging them off, and as much as the mainstream likes to pretend that it's the bastion of truth, I think most people, whether they're conspiratorial or not, understand that the news is propaganda. And I just wonder whether they're doing themselves more harm than good by actually painting somebody who's clearly sentient, intelligent, and presenting a coherent argument, and then trying to just strawman it around it or misrepresent it and not address the points that they give. And I think whilst, the mainstream doesn't say flat earth there or whatever, I think actually a lot of people are more aware of this. And I like I say, the point is, I think when they do things like this, they think they're being clever, but the reality is that stands there. And in a year's time, people will look at that and they will use it as further testament, not only for the corruption of the mainstream, but actually look how the truth, and this is the point really, it's again a complete, everything they do is a misrepresentation of the truth. And I don't think people are that daft anymore. I think they're aware of it, and stuff like that. If you are brave enough, like you are, Karen, to take on the BBC and kind of know you're going to get a bad representation, or not a true representation, I don't think it matters. It's like preaching it with anyone. There's a level of ridicule that we all accept with it. But
the way I see the BBC at this point in time is the same position as I see NASA, in so far as it's in its death throes. Whatever it does now, it doesn't care. It's thrown all shit to the fan, and it's just doubling down, because they can they'll either survive or they won't. But as far as I can see, they're a dying entity. They're not going to be around. Same as NASA. It's going to be curtains for them very shortly. But yeah, a message to Mark Sargent: if you're ever giving advice like that again to anyone who's having an interview with anything mainstream, or even any interview with anyone, always have your own recording. Always.
Yeah.
That's all I can say.
Yeah, I learned that from the first Flat Earth conference in Raleigh, when I saw Rob Skiba being interviewed by, I forget who interviewed him, but it was a pretty major news program that interviewed him. And he had somebody record it. I think maybe it was his wife, but he recorded the interview himself, so that he had his own copy. And I think that's just a good practice to have.
He's a clever bunny, old Rob.
Did you mean that, John? I just thought so you could remember it the next day.
Well, that too. It always helps. I record everything, mate. Everything and everything. I can, if it's worth.
That's the one thing when we first met, you always drilled into me. There is, I think there's a, as we've learned, there's a really sad to say, but maybe not everybody has the integrity that you have when you're dealing with them.
Cough, Pete. Yeah, no, it's just prudent. I mean, if I go to my kid's school for a parents' evening or whatever, I will bring the dictaphone and record it. If I go to the doctor with my wife for a knee issue or whatever, I bring the dictaphone and I record it, purely because there's so much going on that I would say almost 75 to 90% of what is said and what is understood is misunderstood, is forgotten. I mean, I speak for myself here, but I can bring it up in each one on the panel, bar Karen's case, where they've said something that they've forgotten. And if you had a recording, you could go back and listen to it again. But if you're dealing with the likes of the BBC, these are the spawn of the Tavistock Institute, who know how the human mind and psyche and psychology work better than anyone else, because they've done it on live subjects, apparently. That you don't mess around. You've got to get everything recorded with these guys. And yeah, I mean, Jaron got stung with it as well. They made a whole documentary series about an experiment he did, and he assumed that they were just recording it and he'd be given access to the recording. And of course, they wouldn't give him access to it because it's not his. Now, you don't expect that from friends and things like this, but when you're dealing with these people, you have to be a little bit more savvy, or just don't talk to them at all, would be my advice. They're irrelevant. They became irrelevant the moment they doubled down, the moment they refused to look into it, the moment their inception. The BBC was literally brought about to propagandize the British people into pro-war, into going to war with Germany, and that's I don't know if it's declassified, but it's admitted that was the whole point. The whole point of Coronation Street and all these soap operas is social engineering. You've only got to watch the BBC for the last 10 years to see their pedophilia agenda. They've been caught out so many times. I mean, the stone statue above the BBC's main office in Whitechapel in London, I think it's Whitechapel, I don't know, I used to live up the road from it, is an adult kiddie fiddling a child. Need you no more. But yeah, that's my BBC rant out.
Well done, sir.
Shout out to Mark Sargent in the chat.
Oh,
Is he?
Yes, he
Sorry,
is.
Mark.
I Beetlejuiced him.
I take it you don't have a license then, John.
Hell no. No, I could talk you through that as well, but I won't bore you. No one needs a license. If you don't watch it, you don't need a license. There's so many melting snowflakes in this country that say, oh, well, I've got a TV, so I need a license. No, you bloody don't. Unless you're watching it live, you do not need a license to have a TV, despite their threatogram letters and their threatogram adverts. We know you're watching. We can see you through your walls. We're perving on you. We're the BBC. Get a license or you're £1,000 fine. No, bullshit.
I do wonder where in any other walk of life it's reasonable to send somebody a letter and say, we've got a bloke outside your house sat in a van watching you. Do you know what I mean? It's a strange way in which it's not. It's a great exemplifier in which they allow certain fear porn into people's lives to threaten them into certain ways of being and ways of.
You would have expected it sort of pre-Soviet Union Russia that these vans are driving around and you're being threatened, being told that we know what you're watching and there's no getting away from us and we can see through walls. And we're not making this up. You can go and look up old BBC TV license adverts in the UK on YouTube, and they are literally threatograms. And the documents you get through the post as well are just as much.
I don't mean it
to
like
the
that, John.
occupier.
I mean, there's lots of legislation in all walks of life, but there's very few places where their state-sponsored advertising, postal threats are allowed. Imagine if there was a bloke, if the plumbing people came round saying, there's a threat that you're not compliant. We've got a van outside your house. They're threatening and intimidating you to submit to payment. It's a strange way in the UK. I don't know about you guys in the States, but it's a very odd. What is basic? Do you know what I mean? It's a very odd concept that is state-sponsored intimidation and.
Well, anyone who wants to giggle, go to YouTube and look up TV licensing. It's generally good to put the word goon in there. It seems to be the collective word for TV licensing employees. And see what these people are like who knock on your doors and intimidate you and threaten you and bully you and all this sort of stuff. And I don't know. Well, when I see that sort of thing, I turn the other cheek and say, screw you, right? That is what made me stop paying my TV license, was seeing that bullshit and saying, right, I want one of them on my door. I want one of them coming round. And yeah, they did. And I had fun, but something about the BBC gets me crawling.
I hear that. My goodness.
Anyway, enough about them.
Well, Karen survived and has a new video that has been great. I've watched it. I don't know. Do we want to show all of it now? Is that something y'all want to do? It's really up to you, I guess, Karen, and you guys.
Whatever y'all want to do.
It's up to y'all.
I've got it pulled up. We can do whatever.
I thought you might. Oh, and I had a little reminder there, a little public service announcement from the D. I had included there in the chat, Josh.
You might have to say that again. I'm not sure what you just said, but
I dropped a little public service announcement over there in the chat here on Skype. You'll see it there from the D, from Tenacious D.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I saw that.
I think the vid's about half an hour long, isn't it? It's probably better that we talk to Karen
Well, that's what I
about
was
the
thinking.
vid.
We just talk about it would be best.
We could stick a link in the description without a doubt if any of those crazy nutters out there listening or watching haven't actually seen it yet, that is.
And we can scroll through and highlight areas if anybody knows anything specific. But yeah, I don't think we need to watch all 30 minutes of it here.
I think for me, it's you know, we've chatted about we've been in this game a long time, a lot of us. Do you know what I mean? And we've got a lot of answers we've already gone through, and in the case of this, there's been great work, I think, by Dr. Zak and stuff that helped me when it first came out. And what I think, as we were saying about recycling some of the stuff and using it powerfully to address, I thought that was the bonus for me that came out of this, that we're actually, we have a database of knowledge actually now that is actually quite powerful. And if it was sat in one place like Wikipedia, I think it'd be a very powerful resource for the responses we have to lots of things. And maybe
Yes.
that's an intro for you to explain the vid a bit, Karen.
Well, basically it was a response video to Neil deGrasse Tyson talking about flat Earth. And the video is probably about a year old now. We actually started working on it well before summertime. Like some of the stuff that I did in there I recorded back in March. But Zach was busy, and life stuff happens, so we didn't get it put out until later. But yeah, just was like the first project in sort of a debunk series that Zach and I have talked about doing. I'm not sure how many more we're going to do, if we're going to still do that, but that's where the idea came from. We were going to do a whole series on debunking videos like this, because they're starting to, I'm sure you've all noticed, they're starting to have these physicists and stuff come out and address flat Earth like it's so ridiculous with their stupid non-proofs, oh, well, the ships can go over the edge, that sort of thing.
Well, I mean, this is what I like about your videos, and yours and Zach. And I don't know if you always work together. Do you not always work together, do you?
Not always, but we have quite a few times.
Where is Zach? Where's he located? He's in Europe, isn't he?
Yeah, he's in Spain.
Right. So all this is done over the internet, is it? All the collaboration and the
right.
You edit this and I'll do this, and yeah. Wow.
Yeah, right. I've known Zach probably the longest of probably any flat earther.
Have you ever met?
No, and I haven't met him yet. I still haven't met him yet. But I talk to him every day. We're really good friends.
But this is what I like is that I mean, although you said you record, you know, you haven't you've got stuff that was in there that's over a year old. That's what I like, is the fact that you're not in a rush. Is that you're more quality based than time based, because everything in Flat Earth seems to be sort of running to standstill, whereas we forget and we overlook the amazing things that we've discovered in the last sort of 3.5, 4 years or whatever, that really do need collating and putting into decent videos, like with good production like you do and Zach does, you and Zach do, that this is our time to gather up all that stuff that we've sort of netted, and pull out the exquisite bits, the bits that just can't be denied, and the you know, the real smack you in the face stuff. I wish more people would do that and concentrate on what has been said over the years, and really accentuate the bits that should be accentuated, rather than sort of always chasing the dragon.
Yeah, I agree. That's
So
kind of the mindset.
Sorry,
sorry.
No,
I
you
was-
go on.
I would say that's sort of the mindset that Zach has too. He always says, you know, flat earthers need lessons. They need lessons. It's true, because a lot of there's a lot of misinformation floating around the community. A lot of people with making false assumptions and, you know, using arguments that really aren't very good arguments. And that is something that we need to address amongst ourselves.
Someone just shared the moon print. It doesn't match the boot meme in my Twitter feed yesterday. And I'm like, really? I thought we were years past this at this point.
Yeah.
Still comes up. Yeah, no, it is true. It is true. We need to revisit these things, and this is why I think Jaron's tactic at the moment is pretty good at releasing clips of his old videos that, you know, used to come thick and fast. That they were just like, you know, research video after research video, and they were brilliant. But it's so, I mean, I can forget what I did this morning, you know, let alone what I watched yesterday. So it's really nice to have these sort of recaps and concentrating down the information to make it more succinct and more understandable to ball earthers as well as flat earthers, because a lot of flat earthers don't grasp it either. We had a little section last week of taking apart a meme or some memes, you know, that you just don't want to see on your timeline again, just like you were saying, Walt, with Armstrong's footprint and the boot. So have you got stuff in the planning over the next sort of 6 months or so? Anything major that you're working on, you and Zach?
Yeah, I was talking to him about maybe making a video about the Selene eclipse.
Oh, I wanted to talk to you about that.
Yeah, that
Aren't we
I actually
due one this coming up, like with the blood moon? Isn't it going to be close to dawn, or am I maybe looking at the wrong dates?
I'm not sure. I couldn't say. I'd have
the
to
last one in January here in the States last year, I caught right at the end, both in the air and both in the sky at the same time. So I'm wondering, I'll have to check, because I know it was coming up. We were going to talk about it this morning. We just had too much going on with Martin. Sorry, go ahead. I'm going to check it.
Well, you modeled it, didn't you, on AutoCAD? And you're saying that, I assume you're in a heliocentric mode on AutoCAD, and you're saying that you can produce with a 3-ball configuration, i.e. the sun, the earth, and the moon, you can create a shadow on the moon cast by the earth, while the sun and moon would be in the same hemisphere, i.e., above
Yes.
the horizon. Right. How does that
Yes.
work?
It's all in the angles. It's the angles and the distances. See, when I did it, I didn't think it was going to work. I thought that I would model it, and I fully expected for it to not work. And then I modeled it and stretched out the cone from the sun through the earth to the moon, and I was like, "Oh, look at that."
Could
The
someone
shadow
do
comes
it?
from the top down.
But is that all it showed? I mean, but it showed. Did it show the sun and the moon would be visible from, say, one point on the ball Earth, that you'd be able to see the sun and the moon and the shadow on the moon? I mean, is it an exact sort of replica of the? I call it Celine Leon because it's easy to remember, but I get the piss taken out of me with everyone going on about Celine Dion. But is that what you showed? I mean, is that something that could be shown with physical objects, say a torch and two balls, or?
I don't see why not. I think it should be. I haven't tried to do that. That might be something that I do when I make the video for it, though.
Because I just can't see how it can work in terms of, say you got your light, so the sun, and it's shining to the earth, then the shadow that's coming off the earth is going to be in line with the earth and the sun. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's because both the sun and the moon are so low on the horizon. Like we're talking about like the moon, I think, was 1.5 degrees above the horizon.
Mm-hmm.
And then the moon, or the sun, I'm sorry, was just barely coming up over the horizon. So like at, maybe negative or 0 degrees, like right coming up. And that is when it works, right there, when they're both very low on the horizon.
Well, that's a video that I'm looking forward to because I'd like to see that, definitely. It just doesn't seem as though it should be possible. Are you including atmosphere or any sort of refraction or anything along those lines?
No, there's no atmospheric refraction that you can put into AutoCAD. But the refraction that they say happens as far as atmospheric or, refraction for that type of event is so negligible that it doesn't really make a difference. Because I asked Zach about that, and yeah, it doesn't make a difference.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, for clarity's sake, the total eclipse coming up in January will be on the 20th. It starts at 8:36 p.m. here in the United States. That's Central. We'll have total visibility from beginning to end here in the States, down in South America. In the UK, it looks like you guys will see a lot of it, not all of it, and it won't be total, but you'll see some of it from this weird U-shaped graph they always give you for these things. It's hard to really tell where you are, but here in the States, we should all have a good view of it. So,
well, I'll tell you what, I had to check myself when this conversation came up over the last 3 years, when people were saying to me, things like, everyone's seen an eclipse. You know that the sun, the shadow on the moon is circular or whatever. And I had to admit that I think I've only ever seen one eclipse, and even then, it was just a cloudy day, and it went slightly dark, and then cloud came back again. I've never seen, and I don't think I've ever seen a lunar eclipse. But that's the extent of my solar eclipse experience, was when I was 10, and the cloud went bit dim, and even that, I can't remember fully, but that could have been me watching it on Blue Peter, a children's program in the UK. That it could have shown me that, and you take ownership of it and go forward and go, yeah, I've seen an eclipse. Of course, I've seen an eclipse. Yeah, But in reality, I'm not entirely sure where I ever have. I don't know about anyone else.
Oh, I have. I've been a night watcher. A sky watcher my whole life. That's part of what got me here. So I've definitely seen a few.
Yeah, I documented the last one. Yeah.
Damn, you're breaking up.
Like
breaking up a lot, Zach.
Of that last one. 2000, what is it?
Hey, Zach, you want me to call you?
I was about to say, can we call him on the line? Because I'm having a hard time with it.
Yeah. I can get in bad. I'll just shut up.
No, we need to.
Please do. That'd be better.
Yeah, I'll do that.
I mean, I'm not saying they don't exist. I'm not saying they don't happen. I'm just saying from going from a point prior to flat Earth of thinking, yeah, of course I've seen a solar eclipse. Everyone's seen a solar and lunar eclipse and all the rest of it. When checking myself, I had to admit that in all reality, I couldn't honestly say whether I had seen one or not, and if I had, it was a solar eclipse, and it just went a little bit dim for about 10 minutes.
Well, I had the benefit of seeing that full solar eclipse that last time around. That was quite the experience. There we go.
I was going to say, you guys seem to be spoilt for stellar events at the moment, don't you? Know what I mean? You had the full exposure on the last one. Yeah, interesting. Maybe it's a warning.
We got full exposure this way last time. We're going to get full exposure across Texas this way this time. This way last time. This way this time. Because of orbits and orbital mechanics and physics and logic. Sorry.
Tell me, does it go over the large populated areas
it
mainly?
Will this time.
Okay.
Where's Martin? Control attack.
Just makes me wonder, but you're right, Adam. We seem to be celestially starved in the UK at the moment, anyway.
I was muted.
Yeah, US is a lot.
We're a lot what?
A lot larger. So we're obviously people in the US, depending on where you are, you're going to see. We have a better chance in this country than in your country to see it. It's not like everybody in the country gets to see it.
I would have thought a solar eclipse would almost eclipse the entire world, but that's just me being silly, obviously. It's only 70 miles wide.
Right. That's like the cloud ring that I see around the moon should be the size of half the Earth if it's interacting with. Anyway, yeah.
Now, I've made shadows smaller than the object using Fresnel lenses, mimicking the atmosphere. Not saying that it would or anything like that, but it is possible to get a shadow smaller than an object.
Yeah, I agree, but 70 miles?
Yeah, I'm not saying that it would happen the way that it actually does.
Something screwy. I don't know. What's your opinion, Karen?
I agree. Yeah. That's another thing. Like a lot of when the eclipse happened, a lot of people were saying the shadow was going the wrong way in the eclipse, but it wasn't. That's the right way. Doesn't matter if the Earth is a ball or if it's flat. The shadow was going the right way. The big issue is the size of the shadow, because the moon is supposed to be have a 3,000 mile diameter. I forget what it is exactly, 3,000 or 4,000 miles.
Yeah, about that.
3 sounds about. Yeah.
And then the shadow's only 70 miles. Like that's ridiculous.
And compared to its 300 and whatever numpty miles away from the Earth, it's nowhere near 93 million miles away that they tell us the sun is. So it's not as if it I don't know. It just, none of it makes sense. Sorry, Adam, go ahead.
Well, no, that's the point. It is none of it's testable or provable with regards to the claims. Is all I'd say. You know what I mean? It's so we can build models, but what's the model based on something like that? Is the confusion for me in terms of any kind, even computer modeling. It's not got anything to test its data on. It's a supposition. So
you can't model anything without assuming something, or in this case anyway, extraterrestrial off Earth.
Well, whether it's to support or deny, yeah, it is. Whatever the point is, it is an assumption, and not something that in their model you could ever demonstrate.
Well, I mean, the assumptions so far are the size of the moon, the size of the sun, the distance of the moon, the distance of the sun, what's in between us and the moon and the sun. I mean, it's based upon it's a sand foundation based upon a sand foundation, based upon nothing.
I think it's hard to draw any conclusion. The only thing that seems strange to me is the point we were raising earlier, that over here, and I get Zach's point, I mean, in terms of size of the US, but it's this strange, wherever you are on the plane, this strange differential that you get, and it requires, on the scale they're talking about, the stellar scales, it just seems very odd, and nothing ever matches up. And if you then, and it requires a lot of supposition, but if you scale it down and remove these scales, these possibilities seem a lot more plausible with regards to the geographical visibility of these things. So on a smaller scale, it's more reasonable that you would get much more different observations, whereas when you really do scale it out, as they suppose with regards to Polaris and the rotation of the stars, you would expect a much more uniform effect on their scale. Does that make any sense? I rambled a bit. I'll be a no then.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Parallax, I suppose, is the
step away from the chat, people. Engage brain. No, I don't know what you're saying, Adam. Sorry.
Yeah. I suppose the point is it's a relative parallax that the ability to observe these phenomena would make a lot more sense if the angles are generated through much closer objects, and that would a lot easier explain, just through a parallax point of view, the different observations you get at different parts on the plane, compared to the additional penumbra, or all sorts of explanations that are required to give them an explanation in the heliocentric model.
Thanks for the clarity.
It's good. Good to know you're with me.
So, Karen, what do your kids think about flat Earth?
Well, my oldest one thinks it's not so great. He's 15. He lives with his dad. But my younger ones, they are all in.
Game on.
But I do, they go to a public school, and I do encourage them to learn, about the heliocentric model. My son will bring home books on different planets and stuff like that, and I will talk to him about it. And I do encourage them to learn about it. I don't just say, oh, don't listen to that because it's a bunch of BS or whatever. I want them to learn both sides of it. And I don't try to push them in one direction or the other, although I probably do, just not even thinking about it just because of how I am.
It's hard not to, really.
It's pretty hard not to.
Yeah. But I think you're right. I think it's the same with me. And isn't it funny the way that works? The sort of teenager, from what I've heard, the teenagers are the ones that are like, yeah, whatever, yeah, you're mad. But just before teenage, like, they're very much open to it. My two are 11 now, and that's exactly what I do. I encourage them to learn the heliocentric model because I want them to know it better than their physics teacher, their geography teacher, anyone that will come and talk to them about it or try and patronizingly deGrasse Tyson them into it. I want them to know and see these bear traps and pitfalls and just know their model better than they know it, and also know the model that they can test, repeat, observe, and anyone else can as well. So yeah, I think that's the perfect attitude to take. Plus, also, they will turn into teenagers, and at that point, everything you've ever said before then becomes nonsense, and you're the big bad adult. Say again?
Really? I was just going to say that. I think every teenager takes it upon themselves as that being their job to believe the opposite of what their parents are telling them.
Exactly. So it's important to head them off at the path.
They'll come around.
Yeah, well, that's through my.
Mine's 21. He's 21 now, and he went through this whole phase of just literally, if I was saying it in one fashion, he was the complete other side of the fence about it. Even though I would hear from his mom and friends that know when he's around them that he says exactly what I'm saying, but if he was in my face, it was anti-dad. So he grows out of it. They do grow out of it.
I'm getting that now. I mean, I'm not to the point of it doesn't even matter what I'm saying. It's just the fact that I'm saying something. He's just scowling at me, and yeah, and I don't blame him because I'm quite a relentlessly annoying, picky git of a dad. That's just, I'm a house dad, so they can't get away from me. They can't get away with anything. Pretty much, only what I let them get away with, and which they think they're getting away with, but obviously I've just let them get away with it. But anyway, yes,
I've got a positive one for you on children that my kids surprised me with tonight.
Because yours are similar ages to mine, aren't they?
Yeah, 11 and 13, and their aunties made them an advent calendar, and it's got all sorts of shit shoved in for each day, and it's for the family. And basically, to make it fair, the boys decided they'd have a little lottery thing. So they've made like 2 or 3 little tags for it: Mum, Dad, Leo, and Archie. And each of them's got the name, and then like in a stamp in the corner, it's got like a little. Leo's got a snowman, and Mum's got Holly and that. And in mine, they've just got a little happy Flatmas. And I was really moved today because I don't preach it in the house at all, Karen. And I make sure the boys learn in science whatever's required, and because as I say to them, it's a test on that subject, not reality. It doesn't really matter. You're there to learn that and retort it back to them, and they'll give you some credit in their system for it. But I don't really preach it to them, and it's just little bits like that today that they respect Dad's opinion and really moved me, because that was just daft but lovely. Merry Flatmas.
I love that. I love that. I told one of mine tonight that he wanted to go on the computer or whatever, and I said, right, well, I want you to watch documentaries. And he's like, yeah. He's trying to find like a 5-minute documentary so he could then go and watch his cartoons or whatever. And I said, you got to tell your mum what you want to watch first. And he came in and he said, Mum, I want to watch Walking with Dinosaurs. And I was like, oh, shit. Fucking BBC again and all this bollocks. And yeah, I was in the next room and I heard my other son just saying, what are you watching? He's like, what? Shut up. He's like, what are you watching? He's like, it's a documentary. It's like, it's all rubbish though, don't you? It's all nonsense. It's all made up. How did they know it was 4.5 billion years? And he was like, shut up, will you? I'm trying to... And yeah, that's the way it goes in my house. It's quite amusing.
Wonderful.
That's great.
You're rubbing off for sure.
My son's pretty open-minded. He gets enough of the, well, if it came out of your father's mouth, then it must be wrong, from my ex-wife. So I never dealt with too much of that from him. He put up with a lot of that throughout the week. He's not necessarily into the whole flat earth thing, but he's got a pretty good head on his shoulders, and he's questioning, and he's thinking, and he's examining. So that's good enough for me. I'll let him draw his own conclusions. They're liable to change in 10 years anyway, no matter what they are.
Zach, what does Hank think?
Hank knows the earth is flat.
Yeah, baby.
Dude, Yeah,
good dog.
Yeah. He's sleeping right now in my lap, being good, being dead, feet warm. Yeah, you're such a good big boy, babe. Yeah, I guess you could call him my boy. Really, my little brother was like, I was 15 when my mom had him. He was kind of a surprise. She was 45 when she had him. So he was kind of like my little project while he was growing up. And I always told him, in like first grade, I was like, now they're going to teach you a lot of stuff, but you don't have to believe any of it. All you have to do is regurgitate it.
Yeah.
I was like, you're smart. You can discern, what's real and what's not. Listen to that little voice inside your head, that your gut feeling. And if you think something is nonsense, then it probably is. Don't just dismiss it. Go ahead and look a little bit deeper into it, but all the things they teach you are not correct. And that's how it's always been. We keep learning that what we learned or what we were taught before was not correct. So what they might be teaching you right now, not that your teacher is lying to you, but they just don't know any better. But all you have to do is regurgitate it. You don't have to believe it. And he's a pretty bright guy. I'm proud of him.
That's messing with my head, Zach, because that resonates more with me than any of the stuff my kids bring home. And that makes that's sound advice for life, mate. That's ironic but brilliant. It's something I'll make the boys listen to tomorrow, because if it don't make sense in your head, and that's the big thing with the ballers kids, is we all fight, isn't it? That's the first step they have with us, is knocking that. It doesn't make sense. I'm upside down over there, and somehow they manage to knock that out of us. I think there seems to be a lot of your guys. Your kids are older, but I think, as Karen said, her younger ones are on board, and whilst mine aren't active in the flat earth community, I don't doubt that they know it's flat. I think there's a generation, Karen, coming out that will really make a real difference, because not necessarily because they're taught it's flat, but actually there appears to be this much more questioning of youth, and I place great hope in them.
Indeed.
Yeah, I agree.
Can I give a shout out to Ace McLeod?
Go for it.
Nope.
Shh.
Gotta draw a line somewhere. All right, go ahead. I guess that one time's all right.
I am still the master of my domain, Ace. Just to let you know.
Ooh, good for you, sir. If I had $50, I'd put it on the table.
I'll tell you what, it'd be cool if we had any call-ins. Does that line work or not?
It works really well. Hey, Zach, say something.
Zach's on it, is he?
Zach is currently on it.
Okay.
Now I'm on the Zach line. Isn't there still the flat line?
We need two.
Whilst ever you're roaming, we do.
You
need
are
to
on
do
the
that.
Zach line, aren't you?
We've got the Zach line.
Ah,
The
so
Did not
flat
know
line.
You had your own line. I'm
then
impressed.
you have the flat line. The flat line is still open. That's awesome.
That's a
Look at
great-
us
that's
go.
a great name for a call in for a flatter show, the flat line.
That's what we thought. We figured it really seemed to go well.
I'm scrabbling around looking for the number now.
Oh, is that what we're all waiting on?
You're
Well,
the
no.
only one
503
technically with the flat
That's
phone.
304-503 FLAT 3528 if you don't have the number system.
I would laugh my nuts off if Mark Sargent called in. Just saying.
What's the last four numbers again?
304-503-3528. 304-503-3528.
I love your radio voice, Walt.
I'll stop now.
That is flat, Karen. I think.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep, it spells flat.
Interestingly enough.
So, Karen, what do you normally do on a Friday night around this time?
Listen to IRM. John.
Who?
Well, hopefully that was the answer. And do you get offended if people just ignore you in chat?
Do I get offended if people ignore me in chat?
Like-
No.
No, that's what I thought.
No. It's really, really, really hard to offend me. I mean, you got to be trying pretty hard to offend me.
What was that number again?
Actually, Karen, that's a real question, because you are being serious. You know, in terms of in chat, do you spend half your time saying hi? Is that?
Sometimes if I go in the Globebusters chat, it's like that because there's like over 1,000 people watching. It is like that sometimes.
I'd probably reverse the statement. Do you work hard not to offend in chat? Is probably the.
No.
What I mean by that is by making sure you say hello to everyone, because chat seems to be, if you say hello, first thing you have to do is say hello to lots of other people, and like if Karen B pops up and says hello to you, or you strike me as the sort of person that gets a lot of hellos from lots of other people, and it takes up time. And
Yeah, and I do try to say hi back to everybody.
yeah,
I do. because they're saying hi. I don't want to be rude. So I do try to say hi back to everybody.
There's always that one person that you forget.
Yeah, and then they tag me again. They're like, "Why are you ignoring me?" I'm like, "I'm sorry."
It's best to ignore everyone, I find. But that's
yeah, or sometimes I'll be on my phone and I can't tag everybody. Like it's impossible to like say everybody's name again. So I just be like, I'm on my mobile. I'm sorry, but hi everybody. I see you. Love y'all.
Hey, Zach, thanks. Sorry, I just said hello in chat. Just an experiment. I'm notorious for not looking at chat. I just can't. I can't do too many things at once.
That's why I've gone so quiet. As I started playing with the chat, and here I'll be quiet again.
And I know when people are doing.
I know. I heard you call
when
us
they're
out.
in
I heard
chat.
you call us out.
It's like we gather together on a Friday to have a chat, talk, and yeah, it's like going to lunch with someone, 3 other people who have smartphones, and you just sit there at lunch fondling your slab all the time. It's funny.
What are you doing at lunchtime, pervert?
It's a fondle slab. I don't own one. You got one.
Speaking of lunchtime, it looks like tomorrow in Philadelphia, Fury in Philly, the Flat Earth Rally is tomorrow at Love Park in Philadelphia from 11 a.m. till 3 p.m. Activism, spreading the truth. Go to Flat Earth 101 or Zoom Truth for info.
Oh, well done. Well, there was a meet-up in Bristol on the 15th of December. I've no other details. Just Google Bristol Flat Earth Meetup, 15th of December, and you'll find it.
How many people you think are going to show up to Love Park there in Philadelphia, dressed up in a big Crash Bandicoot costume?
You?
I was just wondering.
How many of these meetups do you go to, Karen?
Could be furries. It could be the furries coming up, right? That'll be an interesting turnout tomorrow at Philadelphia Park there.
That's what a lot of people keep saying, that furry in Philadelphia. Probably could have been named a little better, in my opinion.
Especially at a place called Love Park.
That's hilarious.
Okay, we're slipping into degradation here, I feel.
Slipping.
Or maybe
We're
sliding or roller coasting.
Well, it's a lateral movement, John.
I did like that roller coaster film you put out, The Earth's Not Moving, Karen. Was that you on the roller coaster? Were they your feet?
Yes, those were my feet.
Oh, really?
I was recording the rides with my phone.
Holy crap. Some of them are scary bloody rides.
Wow. I have not met a roller coaster that I won't ride yet.
Wow. That's the second one.
But no more.
See, I used to be that same way, and it's still not the roller coasters that scare me. It's the maintenance people that work on them.
Yeah.
I got YouTube, and I stopped going to amusement parks. Yep.
Yeah, and I see this, look like some long-haired stoner, and I was just like, oh, shit, this is the guy working on the roller coaster? I don't know if I want this roller coaster anymore.
I think that's what scared me, actually. They had some sort of, umbrellaed cradle thing that went round and round and round, and they'd forgotten to put the crossbar through it, and it flew off and pulled 5G or something, and the people died. And yeah, no, it's forget the roller coasters. The people who maintain it, you want to look at.
Here, speaking of that, I think this is a perfect time. I'm just going to go ahead and do this.
It's important to note that suddenly, and against all probability, a sperm whale had been called into existence several miles above the surface of an alien planet. And since this is not a naturally tenable position for a whale, this innocent creature had very little time to come to terms with its identity. This is what it thought as it fell.
Ah! Whoa! What's happening? Who am I? Why am I here? What's my purpose in life? What do I mean by who am I? Okay, calm down, get a grip now. Ooh, this is an interesting sensation. What is it? It's a sort of a tingling in my... Well, I suppose I better start finding names for things. Let's call it, tail. Yeah, tail. And hey, what's this roaring sound? Whooshing past what I'm suddenly going to call my head. Wind. Is that a good name? That'll do. Yay, this is really exciting. I'm dizzy with anticipation. Or is it the wind? There's an awful lot of that now, isn't there? And what's this thing coming towards me very fast? So big and flat and round, it needs a big, wide-sounding name like ow, ounds, round, ground. That's it, ground. Ha. I wonder if it'll be friends with me. Hello, ground.
Curiously, the only thing that went through the mind of the bowl of petunias as it fell was, oh, no, not again. Many have speculated that if we knew exactly why the bowl of petunias had thought that, we should know a lot more about the nature of the universe than we do now.
Indeed.
Are we going to quantify?
That's
What did
brilliant.
that whale see?
That's linked to what news article that we got linked in Skype chat.
It was your bloody article.
I know, that's why I linked it into Skype chat so someone else could read it.
Oh, I don't know. Well, because we have a whole Skype chat just for articles, John. We had thought that you might have been talking about that particular Skype chat article.
We have one Skype chat that we're in right now.
Yes, and then we have another one that we use for articles for the shows.
Oh, forget that. I don't know anything about that. I wasn't there on that meeting. I didn't get that memo.
Oh, wait there. You mean the one you posted tonight in tonight's Skype chat?
Gigantic object spotted towering over Earth by the ISS. Looks like a frickin' blue whale. That one.
Josh, would you be able to pull that up? Because I have a couple of issues with doing things like that.
Damn, that's a good idea, Adam. Josh, would you?
Absolutely. It would be an honor and a privilege.
Either that or the beautiful picture of Karen B with Zach at a conference somewhere, I assume.
Before we do, Zach was the man that spotted this, weren't you, dude? That I kind of linked onto the Douglas Adams link, but you were the guy that pointed out that in Douglas Adams's work,
I watched it about a month ago. I heard that when he said, "Oh, look at this! It's big and flat and round. I'll call it the ground." And I was just like, "What did he just say?"
So this is from the Daily Star. The Daily Star.co.uk, which sounds very credible in my opinion. But it says a bizarre blue object has been spotted hovering over Earth on a NASA live feed from the ISS.
Hey, that looks like the ocean.
Yeah, well, I've already watched it. It's probably.
Oh.
I don't. Here, I think I can do this.
What the hell is that?
What the fuck?
I'm
a scuba diver, and I have seen that is underwater.
I know that there's supposedly water in space, but I'm a little confused.
Apparently, there's a bit of space in water as well.
Is that a Minoc?
It looks like something. What's that thing? Is that of Harry Potter?
No, that's from Star Wars.
What's the one, the screaming root they plant on Harry Potter? Damn, what the hell's that?
The mandrake.
Mandrake, there you go. That looks like a mandrake. Proof. Positive. Stick it in the genome database.
I can't go back.
Maybe you have to reload it.
Oh, look at you, smarty pants.
It was all bollocks to start with.
Good stuff.
All right.
A cracking link, yeah. So we got a mandrake hanging over the Earth, or something off Star Wars.
This was the ISS live feed. I'm going to even unmute it so I can hear.
Before NASA live feed is cut. I mean, NASA live feed cuts every 40 freaking minutes, doesn't
You
it?
see how
Unless
lame
you're
NASA
singing
is?
in harmony. When you're singing in harmony, they somehow eliminate the 10-second delay for you even.
Look how lame NASA is. They can't even hold the phone sideways.
What a bunch of pricks. They should
That's
know
so
not to do that.
amateur.
With all
Landscape
those
people,
Canon
landscape.
D whatever the cameras and everything and lenses they've got on board, they pull out their Samsung One, whatever it is.
I went to space and I borrowed my kid's phone.
All I got was this lousy CGI.
Or glaucoma.
Oh, here's the issue. Okay.
It's definite glaucoma, isn't it? You've got a rectangle lens in front of your eye there.
Before we get too judgy, what I'm seeing here is some guy with his phone being a douchebag watching his television. I think that's what we're seeing. Some guy recording his TV.
I concur. With a budget of 50 billion a day, a million a day.
Also,
Yeah, it's a reflection. It's an uplight in the background, isn't it? Who gives a shit what it is?
It's the Black Knight. It's the White Knight.
It can't prove the Earth's flat. It can't
It's
prove it's stationary.
More.
What?
That's
Why?
bollock.
How can that be from the live feed? It didn't even look like it was moving. Oh, and then it goes out.
That's what it was. It stuttered. It had to buffer before it cut the feed.
looked like a whale to me.
Well, clearly, it's aliens. Obviously, we're being invaded. This is what's starting the California fires. This is everything. We're being invaded.
It's Mountain Dew. Mountain Dew started the fires.
Ben Fulford was right all along.
And we're back.
And there's
in
your
the
mandrake.
There's the mandrake. So
How do we
that's
get onto this shite?
some douchebag posted in the chat. I don't know. Put it in the wrong damn room though.
No.
Oh, that's some crackerjack reporting right there.
I'll tell you what, Josh. It seems like an apt moment to move on to full space lettuce. As we're
I
hitting
saw
off
a
one.
video. I saw a video of a guy watching YouTube that he recorded with his phone of him watching YouTube, and I'm pretty sure if it was the NASA live feed and I saw a blue spot on the television screen.
Alien.
Quick,
Aliens.
star. Right
That
post.
looked like a whale in space.
Bunch of Moby Dicks. All right, we do have some actual. I don't want to stop. I want to find space lettuce.
We got 16 minutes till the end. Until the fringe.
Look at you, time cop.
I am now.
Have you bought a clock?
No, I've got
Can we
solid state
can we hear
drive
the
running out of
wind?
space.
Can we hear the wind on Mars?
Sure can. I'm sure it's gonna be super, super interesting.
Yeah, it is here. It's okay.
I mean, the wind in space has been making the news a lot lately, so let's hear some wind on Mars.
This is the sound of their seismometer, apparently. They're going to call it wind. But the video says raw sounds from Insight's seismometer on Mars. So we're going to hear what the seismometer sounds like. What they're calling wind. So if I turn it up real loud, I get just a bit of a high pitch.
Oh, we're gonna get a strike for that, man. Come on.
But that was it. That was the raw sounds.
Are they
That's-
serious with this crap?
This video is called More Audible Sounds from Insight's Seismometer.
Why would you want more than that?
Come on, don't you roll over
That's
in bed
that-
and just go beep, 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 and go, ah, it's better.
So it says this is data from the seismometer on Insight of vibrations caused by wind moving over the solar panels on the lander. In this particular version, the data has been raised by 2 full octaves to make it more audible.
You know what it sounds like? It sounds like it's the dude running the remote control on Devon Island is breathing into his mic. That's what it sounds like to me.
Well,
It's like they just stuck the car window on the right end. Or
what did they do to the seismometer?
well, apparently they got data from it.
But
This is data from the seismometer on Insight. That's what it says. It's 20 seconds of data from the seismometer.
I can't stop.
This is
but
what
if you
data.
wanted to record sound, wouldn't you take a microphone?
No, you want to take a seismometer. That's how you record sound. If you want to record wind requires.
You're thinking about normal sound, Adam. This is space sound. Come on, man. Get the program. Shit.
But isn't there an atmosphere there? So, on the assumption that you've got an atmosphere and you want to record sound.
You're just thinking about this all wrong. You gotta think about.
See, you're not thunking. You had a thunk, not think. It's thunk. Thunk. You got to thunk it up. Thunk it through.
Maybe some more sounds will clarify it for me.
Karen, is this like when you have one of your 15-year-old son's friends around for dinner and you have to listen to their conversation? You just sit there and think, what the fuck are you on about?
Data from the air pressure sensor. So this, I bet you this is going to be super entertaining because you know how crazy and wild those air pressure sensors get. So the air pressure sensor on the NASA Insight lander. Now this data has been sped up by a factor of 100, shortening the duration of the recording and shifting it up by a frequency of 100 times. Wow. Oh my God.
Space is real.
Wait for it.
Yeah, the Earth is round.
Oh,
You can hear the spinning.
the big finish. Oh my goodness, that was amazing.
I'll tell you what, mate.
That's
Gotta
going on
play
my
that
plate.
again.
I'll tell you what, if you do take some totally relevant data, fuck around with it, right, speed it up 100 times, you can make it sound a little bit like wind, can't you?
Well, if you're on the ferry to Devon Island, you can just also pull out a microphone and tell everybody to hush. You got to hurry up, record your seismometer and air pressure sensors readings.
And play it backwards. It says, worship Satan.
Get your
Quite
ass to Earth.
clearly.
Get your ass to Mars.
to Mars.
They're on Mars. They have to get your ass to Earth.
Damn, they were telling us all this time.
That's how you know
Working
they're
out.
Mars guys. If they said get your ass to Mars, you would think they're on Earth. It's proof positive. Insights on Mars.
When he takes his helmet off, it looked very much like when I did, on the one occasion, squeeze my hamster.
And we're back to the animal abuse.
Oh, I'm sorry.
As long as that's not
Yeah,
a
Stephen
euphemism.
Hawking.
Is that a euphemism, John?
On this occasion, I'll say
Oh,
yes,
it's
so I
time
don't
for
get
sleep
done
at this
for
point, I think. Oh my god.
abuse of animals. How we've really delved the depths tonight.
What
We
about the
can't.
SpaceX landing this week? Was it awesome or what?
I blame Karen.
I do. I think it's all coming. It's disgraceful.
What the hell?
Yeah, I agree totally, Stephen.
Well, you know, Stephen Hawking, he just never feels the need to just be quiet. He wants to chime in at some point. He's always got some smart ass comment.
That damn speak pipe.
Yeah.
You're right. Move on to solar winds, he's saying.
Yeah.
He's saying we've been going for like nearly 3 hours now, and you really should have a break.
Oh, he didn't. He said you've got a great link talking about these farty noises. Move on to solar winds. Because have you not heard that solar winds could have blown together rocks that formed the Earth? See?
Oh, yes. Did we not cover that?
It's more space lettuce. I'm sure we have. We usually do.
I think that was pre-show. We talked about it.
Maybe so. You're right.
That was actually a massive hint on my part that it was pre-show and we haven't talked about it, so no one knows what we're talking about. But obviously the hint wasn't taken there.
Well, that's right up on the screen.
Problem is, New Scientist is one of the lamest sites for any information, if I'm remembering correct.
Yeah.
I remember it correctly.
Earth may have started as dust in the wind. Nobody's going to jump in singing? All right, whatever. Unlike in many other stellars. Unlike in many other...
Now the moment's gone.
Completely gone. Many other solar systems we've seen, the area close to our sun is empty. Empty. That may be because the early solar system's formation, the solar wind blew rocks near the sun into the area where Mercury, Venus, and Earth eventually formed. The solar wind is a stream of particles emanating from the sun. Right now, the sun blows out almost 40 million billion kilograms of material a year. But this gale may have been even stronger. Ellipses. To continue reading this premium article, subscribe for unlimited access. And if this shit is your premium article, you can go have yourself.
Cool cartoon.
I think it's good that without any real scientific evidence that scientists puts together stories that, you know, enable people to cling on to a ball. It's just pure nonsense fantasy, isn't it? It's just complete, honestly, without any real evidence, and because there are real questions as to how this could have formed based on our own physics. Let's just add in solar winds now that might aggregate masses because clearly gravity is not sufficient.
So I'm just looking at this list of
I found a new link for a new article. It directed me back to the New Scientist link from a different website. Yeah.
That's how you break AI. So just looking at these trending articles, there's a phone app that can diagnose anemia from pictures of your fingernails. There's a tiny sun sensor that will warn you when your skin is about to burn.
It's called your skin.
Right.
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, don't you feel that?
Time to drink that sunscreen.
Probably do you more good that way. Parrots are
fluoride.
Parrots are clever because their brains evolved the same way that ours did. How's that for knowing some stuff?
They were born with their brains, you mean?
Sounds like it.
And in a new scientist exclusive, there's a controversial skeleton that may be a new species of early human. I'm sure that's super exciting.
A new species of early...
Keep it quiet or the British Empire will invade and murder it.
Flood it with mud.
So I saw this article. I don't really know what it's about. I just saw the picture and thought it was an interesting thumbnail to give your article. Just this strange disc floating in space surrounded by ice. But then you have what's either a bird or a dolphin putting a globe right in the middle of it. I don't know. I don't know what the hell's going on.
I saw that the other way around. I thought it was removing. Josh,
Right,
birds
that's the
pack
pink-
and
that's-
take
That's
stuff
a
away.
bird. I
Penguin
would say
taking
that's
it.
a bird.
That's a pigeon. You can
I like
tell.
It's
Space.
so weird. It's like it's totally contradicting itself inside the picture, right? Because you have the ball earth there with the water stuck to it, and then at the same time you have water level in a container.
Running down the side, yeah.
With a bird in space.
Well, what's the it's a dove, isn't it? On fire, diving towards the earth. That's Aleister Crowley and all that symbology. I'm sure it means something else as well, but that's what I think when I see that.
Well, this is probably pretty interesting. They asked 105 experts what gives them hope about the future. I bet you there's all sorts of stupid shit in here.
Josh, would you regard yourself as an expert on one thing?
No.
Oh,
Nope.
oh, you guys, right here. The one of the people that they asked is an astrophysicist. What gives her hope about the future of the Earth? Kids these days know that brushing their teeth prevents cavities, and also that human activity is contributing to climate change in a major way. From an astrophysicist.
Ba-boom.
Hey,
There
Walt,
you go. White
track
coat.
that down.
Must be true.
It's good. It's
Some of
good
my
to,
That's
people-
what gives them hope
Some of my
about the
people.
future.
good
Well,
to
there-
support global warming with teeth decay.
First thing that comes to my mind when thinking of what gives me hope, yeah, that's right on the button.
Eventually, kids will be able to wipe their ass, and
They'll be able to pay $30,000 to go to classes to tie their shoelaces,
We
but
need
they'll have to pay it back, obviously.
so that's a great one. Paul Olivier Dehaye, a mathematician and founder of personaldata.io in Switzerland. His answer? Children's questions. Way to participate, dickhead.
Yeah.
All about the children. They know it. We know it. We're going to get to them quicker than you are, you bastards.
Technology can bring us closer together, enhance our relationships, and connect us to friends, old and new. Tech won't replace our relationships, it will enhance them.
Damn right.
Yeah,
Technology is already showing us the Earth is a stationary plane. Sucks, doesn't it? Your tech has really backfired on you there.
The democratization of access to basic services like education, healthcare, mobility, and security for the emerging middle class across cities in Asia, Africa, and Latin America. Cheaper and more efficient infrastructure is driven by artificial intelligence and the proliferation of the mobile phone, and it empowers young people to learn, innovate, and build a better future for themselves. What kind of idiot thinks that's what young people are doing with their mobile phones? Really?
So what they're boasting about, what was the start of that? The education, blah, blah,
What
blah.
is this?
I love
105 experts on bullshit?
shit.
Well, this
This-
is it. I mean, I could ask my next door neighbour what he's an expert on, and it's probably cow poo or something. I don't know. It's 105 experts of what? That's
Just random
experts.
things. Just random things.
I
Just
would
a random
rather
expert.
be an expert on cow poo than an astrophysicist.
We pulled 105 arbitrary quotes from arbitrary people and labeled them as giving them hope about the future.
Certainly be more relevant to be an expert on cow poo.
Children's
Hey,
questions.
no, not cow poo. It makes my plants amazing.
Does a hell of a lot more than reading this shit, that's for sure.
I'm a weirdo though.
Josh, I threw that. Oh, there it is on screen. Never mind. I threw that other picture from earlier in the week. That picture came up as a thumbnail for a story in my Google feed that had absolutely nothing to do with flat Earth. And again, in the picture, they are incorrect in the depiction.
So where'd you just drop that?
I just dropped it in this chat.
In here?
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
3 hours.
Oh, that's right. That's the one from before.
Was that the speaking clock I heard?
It was. It's where the fringe actually comes into its own.
From Ars Technica. That gem of a website.
Ars Technica.
Yep. ARS.
Ars indeed.
Mm-hmm.
And their beautiful blog post about NASA picking a landing spot on Mars for its rover in 2020. And they used an interesting thumbnail indeed. The old railroad spike Earth model.
It's real to me. I'm desperate for a model, you know, Josh. I rejected the ball, and now all I do is desperately
Just floundering without a model.
for somebody to give me a sense of reality.
Right. Just a lost dude. I can see it.
I'm all up for the dolphin in space. Space dolphin.
Dolphin? You think that's it? Dolphin?
It's a space dolphin eating
dolphin eating the Earth. That's it. You got it.
I've got it.
Goodbye, and thanks for all the fish.
That is
the Earth.
Pigeon.
Pea that looks like the Earth.
Look, I was a young ornithologist on the Blue Peter. That's a pigeon.
It's not a pigeon. Bird. It's a dolphin eating a pea, because that's how he's protecting the polar bears, because that's how you catch polar bears.
It's a pigeon eating a marble.
Because if you go up and you cut a hole in the ice, and if you put those peas around your hole in the ice, when the polar bear comes along to take a pee, you just kick him in the ice hole. And that's what the dolphin's doing. He's just protecting the polar bear so somebody doesn't come along and kick him right in the ice hole.
Shit. You know what? That's the best Just So story I've heard. I believe that now.
That's a bless.
That's it. That's what I believe. I'm waiting for the space dolphin to come and save me.
I'm waiting for my mute button to come and save me. That's the best outro I've ever heard.
Thank you, Space Dolphin.
Time to finish it.
All praise Space Dolphin. I can't wait for the return of the Space Dolphin.
Oh, the Space Dolphin never goes anywhere. Karen, thanks so much for joining us. It's been an absolute... I'm going to hurry and get out of here before John has a small conniption. And stroke out right there in the battle bus.
We need an after show, clearly.
Thank you so much. And on such a short notice, classic IRM, I know. But you've been wonderful.
As always.
They're the best nights. Thank you, Karen. It's been real fun, mate. And as John's pleading for, will you, once I press stop streaming, will you just hang about for a minute?
Oh, sure.
Thank you.
Put up the picture with Zach and Karen, if you can.
Who's got that?
Do what?
Somebody put it in the chat. It was in the chat.
It's the one in the
right
hotel bedroom.
Go up too.
Zach in the bunny suit. And
okay.
Not that Zach, the other Zach.
Zabala and Karen.
I have a link open for Karen and Zach. I thought we were getting the hell out of here anyway. I have a bit of a rumbly in my tumbly.
Yeah.
All right, well, let me...
What are your plans this evening? I think we've already hit a copyright strike anyway, so I reckon you could go for whatever the hell you like. I reckon that whale would do it.
What would you like to hear, Karen?
I'm sorry?
Yeah.
What would you like to hear us go out on?
I don't know.
A high note?
Not to put you on the spot or anything.
Yeah, whenever somebody asks me about music, there's too many. I can't pick something on the fly like that.
All right, Karen.
It's impossible.
So
Impossible.
Have you ever heard of Gravity?
Oh yeah, that's a great song. You know who really likes that song is Dr. Zak. He loves that song. I
Well,
sent it to him, and he was like, "This is awesome."
we can actually do
A
that.
man of refined tastes. Tell him.
We can do that without copyright infringement, can't we?
We certainly can.
Certainly can.
So, Karen, if we were to go out into your car right now, put the key in, turn it on, and turn on the radio, what would be playing?
Well, it depends what the radio station's playing, I guess.
Okay,
it's
so
like-
What's in your CD player?
What-
Do you have
Well,
a CD player?
what I've been listening to lately, I listen to I listen to a lot of Flat Earth music. Have you guys ever heard Twin Serpent? I freaking love them.
Yes.
You turned us on to them when you came on TFR. I noticed that in the show notes today, and I was like, "Damn it! I have that whole page and everything." Listened to it that week, and then got lost and sidetracked and never went back. So I'm gonna go back.
But yeah, yes, Ace Adventure Club. Ace turned me on to this to Adventure Club, and I have been listening to that a lot. And then I also listen to a lot of I've been listening to a lot of Daft Punk. My 15-year-old son got me into Daft Punk.
I feel old. I don't even have any clue who you're talking about. I quit listening to music in like 1998.
Well, you know, Daft Punk's been around for a long time. They're like they started in the 90s.
Oh. Well,
apparently there was this whole thing going on with them, and I completely missed it until recently.
I'm with you, Zach. I have no idea what you're on about. Daft Punk. Can you see that picture, though?
No.
No. Well, I can't. I'm not in the Skype chat.
No, sir, we cannot see a picture.
Oh, fuck. I just took a snap.
And now I see me. Thank you. I appreciate the picture.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, you won't be there long. There you go. You see that?
I see that.
I see it.
Beautiful. Where was that taken?
That was taken in Denver at the Flat Earth International Conference.
Fantastic.
That's where that was.
Is that you and I, Karen?
It is. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
You both look radiant. I'm not being sarcastic.
Well, it's hard not to be all smiles at an event like that. It really is. It's so awesome.
Shining on both of your faces, for sure.
One day I'll find out.
Yeah, if you ever get a chance to go to one, they're the best.
You have to wear your ginger wig, though.
I'll just wear a janitor suit with a mop. You won't even know I'm there.
Undercover.
The mop will be a IRM stick.
John, wouldn't a yellow vest be
on
more
that
appropriate?
note, well, yeah. I had my yellow vest stolen, but
Bring a long red.
on that note, Adam, what have you got in store with your flat stick? Because I'm pretty sure all of that was Wednesday night.
Do you want a little sneak peek before we go?
Yeah, let me see your flat stick.
See
It's
that
not.
iron
It's not.
staff.
It was iron stick, right? And that was Walt's genius. But it has grown, and so we have got the iron staff now. Wait there, let me
That sounds much better.
switch it on. Actually, so you talked earlier, Karen, about like asking the universe for stuff, sort of thing, and I went on a auction site which is just up the road from us, and it's not something I mess about at all. But I was chatting with the guys, and I'd been invited to the conference in Amsterdam. And
Excellent.
yeah, really chuffed, mate. Free tickets, you know. Just these guys have got to pay.
I was
if
going
they
to
wanna
say,
come.
VIP tickets.
Yeah, they've got to pay.
You're poncing it, aren't you?
Mate, you know,
Proudly poncing it.
not what you know, pal. All I'm
All
saying.
you got to do is park a few cars, deliver a few food trays up to some rooms, and you're set.
Shit, you've seen my contract, haven't you?
Bring back a bit of weed.
You God damn it. But yeah, no. So like, I'm thinking, right. What do we need? Right. What I'm desperate for is a new iron stick. So I went in and I did some bidding. I've got a 50 quid. I got a full like gyroscopic top, but with it. So you'll see me wandering around in Amsterdam. Obviously, becoming as local as I can. But with this kind of full equipment now, yeah. So we've got the full iron stick, but it will mean I'll be streaming from the conference, and hopefully, more importantly, is maybe saying hello to you, mate, because I'm desperate to get over and see the guys and kind of culminating coming over to the conference in Denver, where apparently it's
Dallas.
I meant that. Thank you, sir. And I'll be wandering around like a fool with this as well. Hopefully over
Adam,
there. So
point your camera up half an inch, so we can see what you. Point your camera up half an inch.
Can't do that. That's strapped to a jam jar.
No.
I'm letting you technical secrets there, John.
That's Steven. Steven is only so tall.
Yeah.
Just get a taller cameraman.
But yeah, so hopefully I'll have the new iron staff conference, and I'm really looking forward to that. And I keep mentioning the Amsterdam bit, obviously, because
How much were your
That
tickets?
sounds like it's going to be a blast.
I think from what I've seen of what they showed me, it's the thing I was saying to Dee Dee and Gary was it's like Birmingham was fun, you're in a hotel, but hopefully what they're generating there is the ability to make it feel like a little flat village. It looks absolutely awesome, and it's got the ability for people to rock up with a tent, camper van, or stay in some of the little chalet things they've got there, and
Bus.
battle bus, like it savage. Do you know what I mean? So it looks absolutely awesome what they've got planned already. The facilities look amazing, certainly from a conferencing point of view. It's really cool, and I can't wait to hear more.
Well, if I'm a good enough salesman, I will be there.
I'd have you on the door. Right, Zach, right. Was there any trouble at the Denver conference?
Anybody get rowdy?
No.
Anybody get loud?
Nobody. Well, one person heckled.
There was a couple of hecklers.
I didn't mean that. I meant, did anybody without tickets get
And I want my money back and la. They're like, hey, you can come back tomorrow, but it says right there on your ticket, if you do this, you're going to be removed for the day. And he settled down real quick. But no, there was nothing too bad that I saw.
Shout out Gary and Dee Dee, head of security. Shout out.
Yeah, Gary and Dee Dee are awesome.
What about the nutter at the bar?
Should always be a nutter at the bar, mate.
That's
It's
where they
usually
get
me, but apparently you had a specific nutter.
Who, me?
Yeah, he was some guy out there hugging other men and kissing them real slow kisses on the cheek, trying to get people to toast to Ra.
I don't remember. I missed that one.
Yeah, it was late. It was like 2:00. He was standing outside in shorts. It was like 26 degrees out for like an hour. And then he came in and he came up, and he was such a fake smile. But he came up and he's like, friends? And he put his hand out to shake it. And at first I was like, dude, just get away from me. And then I was like, all right, I'll shake your hand. And then he goes, rah, with his cup and like lifted up the toaster. I was like, no, not at all. I'm not toasting the heliocentric sun guy. You're Freemasonic with that nonsense. And he got all upset. Well, I was in the Marines and I love you. And blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, whatever. And he went storming off. Yeah, it was weird. Really, really weird. Just strange.
Zach, for the record,
Yeah.
I was also in the Marines, and I also love you.
I love you too, Josh.
I just thought I'd put that out there.
I was not in the Marines.
A
I
lot of
won't
people
toast
in the
raw,
military,
but I do love you, Zach.
Military, and that stuff really upsets me greatly because my whole family is a military family. And if he would have stuck around, I was going to start questioning him, like, "Oh yeah, where are you in? Where are you in? Where were you stationed? This and that, yada yada yada." But he took off right away. As soon as I said, "No, I'm not toasting to your heliocentric sun god."
Might have had something to do with the Glock in your pocket.
No, I couldn't bring my gun on the plane. They wouldn't let me.
And yeah, I thought you lived in America. Good grief, I thought you could bring guns everywhere. What's the point?
No, they took my little keychain tool, the pliers and little pocket knife and all that kind of stuff. I forgot to take it off my keychain, and they took it from me.
On an internal flight.
Yeah, just going from Phoenix to Denver. In Phoenix, they grabbed it and took it.
Fucking ridiculous. I remember having a connecting flight in Amsterdam and feeling particularly flushed and ordering a fillet steak and being given a plastic knife. And then I got on the plane at Amsterdam and took off for Australia, and they were more than happy to give you a metal knife on the plane. And I'm like, why the crap did I just have to eat my fillet steak with a plastic fucking knife? It's just ridiculous. Sorry, I'm getting belligerent now.
Yeah, they got to make sure you don't somehow jimmy well, they didn't want you to turn into a lockpick and go open the cabin.
No, I had a plastic knife in the airport.
Who's that handsome guy?
Put a metal knife on the plane.
That dude.
That was a long time ago.
Yes,
that was straight out of high school. Just 18 years old. In Southern California. MCRD San Diego. I was a Hollywood Marine, as they're called, as opposed to going to Camp Lejeune. Of course, Camp Lejeune is where they have all the female, the WMs, the women Marines, or waste of money, as they were called.
That's you, Josh, is it?
Yeah, that's me.
Wow.
What a handsome young man.
Looking very serious.
Well, yeah, it's kind of implied that you don't go in there and cheese it up.
Oh, I know. My ex is ex-Navy, and in all his pictures, he looks very serious in his military pictures.
How old are you there, Josh?
It's like
18 years
like
old.
sports in high school. You don't smile.
But I will say this, there's not a whole lot of smiling to be done for those 3 months of Marine Corps boot camp.
No, I doubt it. I never tried to join the Marines. I tried the Army and the Air Force.
Yeah, there's no real trying with the Marines. It's just kind of go and do.
Yeah, my lungs kept me out. My brother even warned me, if you dare try to join the military, I'll kick your ass. So I went and tried anyway.
Be grateful for your lungs every day, Zach.
Yeah, I wouldn't be here without it. So I am. In a way. In another way, I'm kind of not, you know?
Yeah, I can appreciate that.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Until it's not. Then it isn't.
Yep.
But I'm just saying, Because you know I spoke. That's how you know I was just saying. Words escaped my lips. So I was just saying.
Just in case we're floundering, and anyone can find Karen B stuff at Karen B on Facebook, on Karen B on Twitter, Karen B on YouTube. It's been an absolute pleasure meeting you, by the way. As you can tell, I'm floundering. So, and I'm running out of disk space. So, yeah, I'm wrapping it up my end, and fuck yeah, now that's the first.
How you like that, John?
Yeah, I'll shut up, huh?
Yeah,
I love you, Karen. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Karen. We'll try this again. Still been a blast. Even the 45-minute goodbye is a blast.
Well, thanks for having me on.
Really, anytime. Gentlemen?
Thanks, Karen. It's been a pleasure, mate, and hopefully again soon. Look forward to the new year. See what that brings. But yeah, thank you for this evening. It's I've really enjoyed, honestly. I know we said it in the break, but I really enjoyed the Bigfoot chat. It was a new way of looking at stuff you've added.
Truly.
So thanks for that.
Sure. Thanks for letting me talk about it without, calling me a shill.
Yeah, we had Paul for that. So
yeah.
Oh, that's right.
As soon as we hang up, we're gonna make the video about you being a shill. So.
Okay. All right.
That's how we roll.
Because we mentioned Paul in the chat, obviously government funding for us won't be revoked, you see, because we did surreptitiously call you a shill.
It's great to put a voice to a Twitter account, as always. And yeah, no, really good to get you on. I hope you'll come back. We haven't scared you off. We're not too scary.
No. No, I'm the scary one, remember?
No, I'm not scared by you anymore. Don't worry.
Yeah, I'm done, guys, other than shout out to Paul on the plane for ensuring the continued funding. Thanks for a good night.
Sorry?
Listen back tomorrow.
Okay. Sounds like you were getting funding there.
That would be
but
nice.
Anyway, yeah, I'm nowhere near done, but I am on a live front.
All right.
I'm not sure what that mysterious comment is, but we're here and we're about to go. I'm not sure.
I think his way of saying he's a zombie.
Oh, yeah.
Just a roundabout John Savage way of saying he's dead.
Savage.
I can do it. Oh, I got stuff playing. I can't. All right, let's get the hell out of here. I need to get some sleep. I've been up for a while. All right,
love y'all.
Love y'all. Thank you all. Thank you, Karen. Love you so much.
Thank you. Love you too. Cheers.
Cheers. Love you guys. All right. Thanks everybody in chat. Thanks everybody watching live, and thanks to everybody watching it on the replay. We will see you all right back here next week, next Friday, at this exact same time. Maybe not quite this long, eh, John? Anyway, have no fear. Love you guys. Bye-bye.
Like you all, cousins.
This one incredible chance. They're lucky to have had